Banging. Hey,
Banging.
everybody. Oh, does that mean go?
That means go.
Okay, welcome to another edition of the Owner's Box. I almost just said the Breeders' Cup. That would have been weird. I'm Billy Koch, founder and managing partner of Little Red Feather Racing Club. Joining me alongside his only Michelle Yu with her hair up. And I mean, basically our show is just the question is how are you going to wear your hair and have you showered? That's what everybody wants to know.
Oh, I haven't showered today yet.
Okay, it's okay. I showered
I'm
it.
a night showerer. Like when
Really?
when I shower at night, it's like it's bedtime now. If I shower in the day, I can't function. Plus, I just have to shower again. Like these are my like indoor clothes. So
Yeah.
like as soon as I get home, I change out of my outdoor clothes and into my comfy clothes.
Yeah.
And then right before bed, I put on my pajamas, and my pajamas literally only go from the bathroom to bed and then back to the bathroom. Like my pajamas do not. If I have to go downstairs, I change clothes.
So you can wear your pajamas like on consecutive nights.
Yeah, I will. I will wear my pajamas like about a week at a time.
Oh, 1 week every night, same pajamas.
Same pajamas, yeah.
Because
And I wear
most of the time
pajama
you
sets.
showered before.
Because I shower so like
Right.
there is not. I have never been. Oh, Niall, we see you. We'll be with you in just a sec. Hi.
We should talk.
There is not a night that like I don't shower before bed. It would be disgusting. I could not lay down.
And do you wash the towel also? Like
every week.
Once you use the once a week.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes 5 days, like if it feels like it's damp. But yeah, once a week.
Niall's like sitting there going, "What are we? What are they?"
Sorry. Okay, we're gonna bring our guest today is Niall Brennan.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Steph, and Steph declined. She suckered Niall in.
What's that all about?
I don't know. I just heard bath towels and dressing gowns. I think I entered the wrong podcast.
I do have 2 dressing gowns, actually.
You have dressing gowns?
Well, yeah, like little like dressing robes. So I have one for home and one for travel.
No,
so
are you a night shower or a morning shower?
Night.
See?
You and Michelle.
Who showers in the morning and doesn't
shower?
And then you don't shower at night?
No, sometimes I just go right to bed.
Oh my gosh. If I did that, I would have to strip my
I never even knew that was like bad. Like I have to wake up.
You have the day all over you.
What he doesn't do, he obviously doesn't do a lot, Michelle.
Yeah, now you've seen me at the sales. I don't even do anything.
He doesn't do anything.
Yeah, but you get sweaty just existing.
He doesn't break a sweat during the day, so it doesn't. What are you going to shower for?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Now, how was your day today? OBS March kicked off today, the first big 2-year-old in training sale of the season. Now, give us a quick look of what you thought of the morning breezes.
Well, I actually can't give you any impression on that, Billy, because I was at my farm all morning, breeding my April horses because we didn't have anything in the show today.
Oh, well, there you go.
It turned out we didn't, and they had a long delay because of the fog this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I was over at OBS after lunch, just checking on my horses there, and they were still breezing. They were still going.
So long day.
Long day. But I think they're long days anyway. But I think they didn't get started till maybe 9 o'clock. So they were.
One of the things that came up last year was this what's going to happen at FASIG in Maryland and this kind of quote unquote gallop sale. What are you as a consigner and a seller and an owner? What is your feeling on that? We've never really talked about it.
Well, I'd be a supporter of it. I'm not. I think it's no secret that I'm not a big fan of the way we've kind of progressed in the 2-year-old sale arena, where it's just flat out times against the clock, and each to their own, different strokes for different folks. But I think the way it panned out last May and the bad track and the wet track at Maryland, and ultimately having to have basically a gallop show, but everybody was still breezing, but breezing in hand, trying to just give us a chance, and it actually went really well. And obviously, as it panned out, the sale was very good because people were there anyway. Yeah. The way the horse went over the track, they liked it. They went and looked at them, and listen, 90% of people buying 2-year-olds are buying yearlings on the shank. So why wouldn't we like them? If we just like the way that horse 2-minute licks down there, they're doing better than that. But and they're in hand, they're in the rhythm, they're balanced. The riders aren't trying to almost fall off hitting them. So why wouldn't we like it? I think it's a great concept. we've been talking about it for years, but it's just hard to turn the clock back, to no pun intended. But, so I'm for it. We'll have some nice horses there, I think. We had one or two that we scratched from this March sale, and that we'll take there. So it's obviously you're trying to spread your horses around a little bit, and it's hard for people in January training their horses, consigners, to say, well, I'll wait for May.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
A lot can happen. So March is tempting. It's the first sale of the year, and so people will obviously do that. But I think that there's a place for the Merlin sale and the concept. I think there's obviously people in the grandstand will be clocking the horses, and the guys that make a living selling their lists and their times. But I don't know that it's a 5/8 track. It's I don't know that those times are going to be legitimate, because it's very difficult to catch those poles.
Sure.
So everyone will have a different time. So it's really irrelevant. I think it's about how the horses go down there, their action. They come into that bend pretty quickly and galloping out. So the gallop out I don't think you can tell as much from the gallop out as you can at the bigger tracks.
Yeah.
But it's still people know a horse that they like. They still like the way they move. The pedigree interests you. You go to the barn to look at the horse. If you really like the individual, you vet him and he vets clean, which hopefully these horses will be put under less stress getting ready for the sale, because the designers know they don't have to go against the clock or go flat out. So hopefully we'll be prepping them, a little kinder as regards they're going to the racetrack.
Yeah.
And so they
Makes
can
sense.
spread on. Hopefully they can. Many of them, maybe the buyers will look at and perceive that way, that these horses are ready to go straight on to their trainers. They don't need time off.
Niall Brennan joining us here on the Owner's Box. Now, if you were a buyer, put yourself in my shoes or Michelle's shoes, and I know we also.
Billy's have more money, so.
No, if you were a buyer,
but Billy's are stinky because he didn't shower.
That's true. That's true. If you were a buyer and you were watching the videos from this OBS March sale, how would you watch them? What would you look for? You just talked about time. Seems to me, just like hearing you talk, that maybe time isn't the end all be all. There's so much more that goes into it. But give us some specifics of things that you could look for. If someone's at home right now and they're watching the videos tonight, they weren't at OBS, what are the kind of things that they would look for?
I suppose people probably have different things to look for. I mean, I know, I don't shop the 2-year-old sales as a buyer because I'm a seller. So
yes,
I look at it a little differently. I know my horses. So when I'm watching them breeze, I'll know if a horse isn't quite right. There is a difference with switching these 2-year-olds from the dirt training tracks to the synthetic, and we're going flat out. So it's, many of these 2-year-olds will go over there and they'll train very nicely. The synthetic is great. But it's a whole different ballgame when you're asking them to go flat out.
Mm-hmm.
And I will look at horses, and I think that the riders are probably overriding them. The horses are outbalanced. They're under themselves. They're scrambling. And I don't like that when I'm watching a breeze. I think the horse, you can't tell anything. The horse is proper rhythm. So I try to, when we're prepping over there, giving them a little prep breeze, we just try to do it in hand enough, so the horses get the idea and they're going down there, but they're not flat out. And obviously on breeze day, you're asking them to go, because you're going against the clock. Otherwise, you're kind of judged accordingly. But personally, I look for if the rider is overactive or they've hit them too many times. I feel like the horses are running scared. Some of them, I just watch them and I think, this horse is not in his rhythm. I can't tell anything. I'm not scrambling. He's all out. He's done. I can't tell this horse is really going to go on anymore from that. And that might be a hard judgment right there and then, but obviously every buyer, everybody who's looking at these videos has so many to look at, and they're going to narrow it down. So the video is important. Obviously being there live, I think, is important. Sometimes those horses make a noise going by you because they're scrambling, and they're not necessarily a bad thing, but they're just hitting the ground hard because they're trying so hard. They're busting themselves.
Right.
And on the gallop out, sometimes that's misjudged. People are around there in the corner, and the horse is just trying his heart out, and he takes a deep breath, and they put it down as he's got a wind problem,
Yeah.
But these 2-year-olds are all different. They're people forget they're maybe at different levels of development and different levels of fitness when they go over there. Some are tuned to a T. They're ready. It's their Derby day or their Oaks day, and many are not. They're out there with the idea that, look, we're here and we're ready, but it's not their best. We're trying to progress, and so I think but I don't know if people judge that based on an eighth of a mile breeze or a video. Even the gallop out part, I think you're personally, I just look for if the horses are within themselves, if it's in a good rhythm, if they're swapping leads a lot, I think that's not a good sign. It may be just the surface; they're not comfortable. But you do see many horses swap leads or cross-firing behind because they're not as comfortable on synthetic going that fast. They're fine if you're breezing in hand, but it's a whole different ball game going flat out. And I think you have to judge the balance.
Do you think you could use that as a buyer as an advantage, like to buy a horse that did crossfire or something? Or do you think and you could say, hey, he didn't like that track, I'm taking him on the dirt, blah 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 blah? Or is that a legitimate kind of excuse sometimes? Because you do see those horses that look like they're scrambling, like you said, and a lot of times you'll just I can't buy that horse, and maybe that's the wrong approach.
Yeah, I think some of that is, and probably Billy, there's some agents that spend a good bit of time in Ocala in the winter, and so they go around the farms and they get to see horses training in their natural environment at home, maybe even breezing, but they certainly get to see them gallop. And they might see a couple of horses that catch their eye at places, and that horse doesn't perform as good when they saw him at a synthetic. Now they can tell you that's Billy, this horse was very nice at the farm when I saw him. And you go to the consignor, and again, if there's consignors that you can trust, they're going to tell you, yes, I came over here confident, but he just doesn't like this surface. Yeah. That's good information, because there'll be many buyers who won't do that homework or get that information. So yes, that's a advantage.
It's funny you said that, because we've had a lot of consigners and sellers on our podcast over the 10 or 15 years, however long we've been doing this. And many of them have said, hey, because we asked them if you're a buyer, and they said, just come talk to us, just come ask us questions about the horses. But you use the word trust, and there's that fine line. You have a job to do. You might not own the horse, you're selling for a client, and how much can you disclose, or how honest can you be with people? Because we've told people on our show, hey, go talk to the consigners, ask them questions about this horse. If someone does that, do you just reveal everything? Are you just like, you're an open book, or are you a little bit cautious? Because it's a conflict.
I think I'd like to think I'm very honest all the time, because I don't think if you're not, it's going to come back on you. There may be somebody that I've never seen, don't know at all, comes to me and asks a really stupid question or something that's none of their business. Now that's a little different, but I'm serious buyers and people that are wanting honest information about the horses. Maybe it's a vet issue. Maybe their vet brought up something. They'll come to me and ask, you ever had a problem with this? If I have, I will tell them I have. I'm not going to lie, because I don't know. It doesn't serve me in the long run. It doesn't matter if it's my own horse or it's clients or partners. I don't think we want to misrepresent what we're doing. Each to their own.
But that's a great point right there, because that's your job as the buyer and your vet to get that information. For example, if I loved one of your horses, I vetted the horse, and the horse has a tiny little chip in a hind ankle or something, like I might be able to come up to you and say, hey, has there ever been any effusion? Have you ever had a problem? And you would be willing to say that. If it was me coming to you, you might not just give that information right away. That's not your job. Our job is to vet the horse, correct? Or am I being wrong there?
No, again, depending on the relationship I have with people, if you were, for example, if you were at my barn, you were looking at some horse, you'd shortlisted it down. It's like the day before the sale, and you come back and you've looked at a few, and you ask me, now, I really like this horse. Am I good here? Are you okay with it?
Yeah.
And I'll say, yeah, Billy, now listen, on my report, there's a tiny chip in a hind ankle, so you want to get your vet to look at it.
Okay.
I will say that. I don't, I remember back when I bought my partner, Mike Ryan, and we bought Palace Malice as a yearling, the first crop of curling. And he had a chip in a hind ankle, and I bought him for $25,000 in Keenan.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know what was wrong. I really thought we missed something else, because I knew about the chip.
Yeah.
I went to the consignor, I ran over to Lane's End to ask Callum. I said, Callum, what did I miss here? Is there something more? And he said he looked at his report, said there's a little chip in hind ankle, a little mild lucency in a side. I said, exactly what I had. So anything different? He said, no. So I said, okay, well, I'll go home and take that chip out. And we went home and I re-x-rayed it. My vet said, no, don't bother. It'll never bother a horse.
Just leave it.
We never took it out, and we sold him at a 2-year-old sale. And he won it. He still had that chip when he won the Belmont.
Nice.
That's amazing. Nice. That is sick. That's sick.
Scott Campbell bought him from us at the 2-year-old sale. And Cott was a
probably
great
for
guy.
100.
Cott bought him
Probably
for
an
200.
early hit. 200.
And yep, and he was, but Cott was a great man and a great sport and a great man for the business at the time. But Cott just comes up to you and he asks you. He just asked me, Niall, are we good here? And I said, yeah, chop. Cott, he does have a little chip in eye and ankle. It's never bothered him. I had no problems with it. I bought him with it. Good enough for me. That was it. That was the vetting. And Cott bought him.
Yep, that's amazing.
I love it.
Michelle.
I want to step back real quick because you're talking about the importance of watching the rider during the breezes. Do you hire riders to breeze your horses, or are they the guys that breeze them at the farm?
Well, good question, Michelle. I think we have in times used a couple of the freelance riders, the breeze riders at the sales. For me, the majority of years I've had my own rider that's at the farm and works for us. And presently BRAVARO does. He works for us year round. And, we gave him a shot a couple of years ago because he does all the work. He's the one doing it all at the farm. And I know that there's some guys, ex-shot pricey guys that are charging a fortune out there to breeze these babies. And they're very good at their job. I'm not taking it away from them. But, they ride a lot of horses every day. And they jump on him and off him in the chute. And you might wait for 20 minutes or half an hour because he's backed up. And that's not for me. We just look, each to their own. I think our guy does a very good job. He's quiet on them. He knows them. And he does, he does all the work. He breaks them at the farm. He rides them. He's doing all the prep breezing. So he deserves to ride them at the breeze show.
I love that. That is very cool. How many do you guys do a year? How many do you break and sell?
Well, we only sell, we've cut it back a bit in recent years at the 2-year-old sales. So again, just because I don't love it as I used to. But either way, we have only about 30 at the farm for the sales this year between OBS March, April, and we do have a few ship-ins and then some for Maryland at the present. But we'd have 80% of our business at the farm is clients, is breaking, training, rehab. So we'd only have about 30 horses that are going to the sales.
And aftercare, retirement. I know Stephanie's big into that. We just got a horse, saved a horse from Puerto Rico. I got my LRF Cares hat on right now, and
he's here at he's here Tilted Towers.
Tilted Towers.
He's here at the farm now, and he's done. I saw him when he came in. I think from Puerto Rico, right? And,
yeah.
And he was it was like he needed some TLC and an old boat tendon. But you know what? He's turned around quickly. I saw him out in the paddock there the other day with one buddy, and they were just out there walking around grazing. And
that's awesome.
He's going to be just fine. He's just fine.
Aftercare it's become a hot button topic, especially with everything that Rapoli's been saying. And obviously, I'm part of Karma, and we have LRF Cares. Michelle loves aftercare, and we all kind of love aftercare. I love that this has come out, but I feel like it's almost a little bit demeaning to the people who have been doing it for the past several years, like yourself, like Stephanie. Like it's like we are in aftercare. Sure, we'd like more money to give to more people to make sure that these horses have someplace to go. Am I off base in that assessment?
No, I think you're right on, Billy, and hats off to you guys for what you've done and rescuing this horse. I think we have a responsibility, and like when we started, or Steph, my wife, started Final Furlong, it was really we just felt a responsibility to try and look after the horses that we had at our farm. So our clients' horses and the horses that we sold that we did very well. They did well for us. So she follows every single horse. I don't know her damn database is. She's like the FBI. So she's got everything and everyone. And I mean, she's rescued horses from Louisiana to New Mexico. She got one just a few days ago. Like, somehow she coordinates these vans and got a horse from Sunland Park or something that we'd had years ago, and went down through the claimant ranks. And so we've done it for years, but we've tried to obviously keep it within our management of it, within our clients, and not just everybody. So that's why we'll never be able to retire. Because we've nowhere to put all these damn horses. Keep telling us to stop. The place is overflowing. It's like, listen.
We already lost Eddie. We can't lose you too. Okay.
That's why I said I can't afford to. Where am I going to put all these darned retired horses?
She might stick you right in the pasture alongside them.
We've got 3 big fields at the training center that are literally retiree fields. They're all out there. I think there's one field with about 8 horses, and I think the youngest is 25, the oldest is 31.
Wow.
And the other field is about 7. I think there's some in there that are in their teens. And then she's got all the ones at the house are all in their late 20s. So they're not going here. They look better every day. I get older and they get younger. This is not the way
That's
it's
like
supposed
Michelle.
to work.
Michelle's the
supposed to
same way.
work.
She looks better
Hardly.
every day.
Hardly.
Michelle, I know you wanted to talk to Niall about BRAVARO.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know that you break horses and you sell horses, but now you guys are owning a horse and he's on the Derby Trail. Can you tell us the story behind this?
Well, I think we always have horses at the track too, Michelle, or pieces of at least. I think again it's giving back. Like, we're in the business, you can't expect to just be on the taking end all the time and selling end. I mean, there's times where you got to put up and support the other end of the game and the trainers at the track, and so we've always had stuff like that. And BRAVARO was just he's a homebred, which is special because we don't keep many mares, and most of our mares are in New York, and we just have them as New York breds. So with BRAVARO, this time last year, I absolutely loved him at the farm. He was just trained he was catch your eye now, and we shipped over this very week to OBS, and with high hopes. And the first night he was there, he dug a hole in his stall halfway to China. And next morning he's got a bad foot bruise. And it turned out it was just a foot bruise, but it was throbbing for 2 or 3 days. I just didn't want to try to breeze him off that. So we scratched him and took him home. And then we were going to go to Maryland. And of course, well, it's a funny story because not funny for Steph, but that's when she fell off her horse and broke her knee.
Yeah.
And, so I had to go to Maryland. But then I get, because she normally goes up. So I flew up because the horses were there. And so I left her here with care when I flew up, and then we get called. I'm there 2 days, and she gets a call. She has to be in for surgery next morning. Literally, the surgeon looked at the X-ray and said, "No, you're coming in 5 o'clock tomorrow morning." So I said, "What? I just got here." So I got the 6 o'clock flight the next morning, straight back to Gainesville, and got there just as she was coming out of surgery. But my BRAVARO was there, and I said to the guys, "Look, I don't like this track. It's terrible when it's wet like this. Guys, we're going to gallop. Just do a strong gallop. Tell Pedro we're not breezing." So he just did an easy gallop down there. We were early. I didn't know people were going to literally still let them breeze. So anyway, it turns out that didn't impress people. So we had people that did like him, and Safi and a client of his, and one of the guys that worked for me, an Irish guy that was on our work visa, loved the horse at the farm, just loved him, and he'd ridden him, and he told his friends about him, and they just came to me and said, "Can we buy him?" And I said, "Well, you can buy half of him." And
wow.
that's Albert Schufatelli. So this is their only second horse ever.
Wow.
Out of New York, and really nice family. They're lovely people, and it's just faith and things supposed to happen. And then he did what he's done, and we were obviously they were all down at Gulfstream the other day, and we were just a little disappointed that the way the race unfolded. He was supposed to be up close, and he has the speed, and we thought that's the way it would unfold, and then he kind of got just squeezed back a bit going into the bend, and he wasn't where we wanted him. Tyler didn't want to be out the back door on the rail, and he didn't get the trip. Now, granted, he wasn't going to win. He was beat at 10 lengths. He wasn't going to probably win, but he got so much dirt in his face, which he's never done before. So he learned a lot, and he came out of it good. Safi was, disappointed, but at the same time, felt like, he learned a whole lot. So let's just see where we are. Does he really want to go a mile and an eighth? We don't know. I think the pedigree on the dam side is quite a bit of speed, but upstart will certainly get you the stamina. And he's a big, strong horse. He's got great cardio. I don't think distance would be an issue, but I think if he's really good out of this and he's bouncing and with energy, and Savi's really happy with him, I think we might take a shot at the Wood Memorial or give him one more shot. Because he's won twice on the Aqueduct track.
Sure.
And so, if we give him a shot to see if he's legitimate, and I think and I had a long conversation with the other owners because they're young in the game, and I explained this to them that, look, we know we have a nice horse, a very nice horse, but there's a lot of horses this time of year. Everyone gets excited, and we have to give them their chance to see can they step forward. But the one thing we don't want to do is try to go in the Derby if we don't belong.
Right.
Because every year I see.
Well, a lot of people like to do that, though. If you can get in, you just want to go. Some people, right?
I've seen so many horses every year that seem to have a future, and then they don't show up again. They don't come back out of that. If they it really takes their heart out of them. If they're not belonging, they run a mile and a quarter and they're beat 30 lengths. So that, it's just, you don't want to ruin your horse. If you give them a few chances to prove themselves, if they truly are stepping forward and run really well and they're very close, you feel like, they're improving. We got a shot. Okay, well, we've got enough points. We'll go. But I think with BRAVARO, we're being realistic. We know we have a nice horse. He's New York bred, so he could have a big year if we keep him healthy and do right by him. So, we'll just have to see, day to day, and that's the plan right now.
Sound like a good horse manager. Is he? He's named after Mark Bavaro, the tight end.
Who's Mark? Oh, I was gonna say, who's Mark Bavaro?
Well, he's in New York,
No,
Brad, and he played in New York.
The guys are the Shivatellis are huge sports fans, and they live in New York. And we were trying to come up with it because the dam's name is Opera Star. We came up with some of the names for some of the opera singers, and that was close, Bravo, and then we were saying Bravo, and then we couldn't get the name we wanted, so then they came up with, how about Bravaro? And I said, yeah, seems good.
Okay.
So they got to name him, and that's only right. They own.
That's very cool.
They own the majority, and it's a great experience for them because it's the only second horse I've ever had. So they're having this is what it's about. This is what the game's about. To see their excitement, and they're just living it up. They can't wait to see him, get word of videos of him. It's consuming their lives now.
I tell people that all the time, Niall, because listen, you, me, Michelle, people like us, we've been around for a really long time. Even though we all look very, very young, we've been around for a long time. We've had good horses, we've had bad horses, we've had good things happen, we've had bad. We've been through the roller coaster. But when you see the people, especially in a partnership like mine, or even these people who you're discussing, that's what keeps us going, in my opinion. Just looking around the other day, we won a big grade 2 at Santa Anita, and just seeing the winner's circle, these people all hugging and jumping for joy. That's, you just said it. It's everything. That is what our sport is truly about. And the horses, of course. It's
definitely, when you're in that winner's circle with a bunch of people, it's certainly a thrill that's hard to describe and it's hard to compare to. In any sport. I mean, I think, look, we're partial, but it's not because it's just a sport, a game, maybe the greatest game played outdoors, but it's because we love these horses. They're animals. They're no different than our dogs at home or your cats, or they really aren't.
Niall has a lot of dogs.
I know. I've been there.
We have a lot of dogs.
I like the lab.
Yeah. So luckily they're outside the office somewhere, because otherwise we wouldn't be talking. I know, but that's the difference, is that introducing people to these horses, they relate to them. When they get to spend a morning at the barn and they see them, they pet them, they're in. It's hard not to be in love with them, and that's why we're so passionate about it.
Other than one more question before we go, we've taken up enough of your time, and I know you've got a lot of work to do. A new buyer's going to OBS for the first time. He has his bloodstock gauge in. What's the one piece of advice that you would give that kind of new buyer going into this world that has a lot of danger, has a lot of pitfalls? Even if you're right about everything, it still doesn't mean it's going to work out. Sell it. But I want to know, what would you say to someone you're a new person? What would you say to them?
I think I would say, step slowly, do your homework and study it for a little while, meet people, and find someone that you can completely trust, an agent you want to work with and a trainer that you want to work with. Take your time. Don't jump in head first. Just study the game. Go to a sale even and hang out for a little bit. You don't have to buy something. Watch what goes on. Find some people you can really trust and have a good relationship with, because this game is about relationships.
Yep.
It really is. You need to have fun in the game, and you're only going to have fun if you're in with people who are telling you the truth, managing it properly, and involve you in it. But I'd say just take your time, step slowly, and study it, and find someone you can trust.
Great advice from a great man. We appreciate you as always. Best of luck this sales season. We'll see you next week. Michelle, are you going?
No, Ryan's going. I'm not.
Okay. Well, I will definitely see you and Stephanie, and please give Stephanie
tell
all
Stephanie
our
she
best.
can come back in the office now.
Yeah, and tell her.
No, she's too shy.
I think Zoe's there too. They're probably drinking margaritas.
Probably.
You're very close. Very close.
Thank you, Niall. Have a great sale.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Niall.
Good luck to the Bavaro guys, too.
That was awesome.
That was great, Michelle.
Yay. He was great.
What else is going on?
Well, you had a big weekend.
That was good.
That was great, right? In case you guys didn't know, Thought Process won the Buena Vista. Very impressive.
It was really funny because, going into that race and this is something interesting for people. I think it's interesting when you first get the form, and you start really dissecting the race. I remember the first time I looked at the form for that race, and I had Grand Slam Smile, Princessa Mocha, who was very sharp, Grand Slam Smile, very fast, 10 of 17 lifetime, huge speed, and our filly's fast too. And I was like, I could already see the race unfolding of this speed duel up front, and a horse like Vibes, or the Baltus filly, like someone's just going to come and just spoil the party, right? Because they're just going to ding dong. And so I had a conversation. Actually, I was at the track that morning with Hector Barrios, who has ridden Thought Process many times before, and I just said, "Hey, buddy," I was like, this filly, you've got great hands. I said, I think they're gonna go, and I think you gotta take back, because not just because I was worried about her pulling up there and just getting pressure from the outside coming off this 6-month layoff, but also just to teach her, to that in order to win these big races, and hopefully we have, grade 1 aspirations with these filly, but to teach her to relax and finish is so important. It's so important. No matter, these are not Baffert dirt horses. A lot of these turf races, unless you have an Obviously or a Midnight Storm or someone who just has that kind of gas and go, but like you want them to learn. So when she broke so well, I kind of gasped, because I knew it was coming. And then Hector just slowly kind of reined her back in, and she got that perfect pocket trip. And you and I have talked about this for the last, I'm going to go back 10 and 15 years. You could have the best horse in the race, and it doesn't mean you're going to win, because it all comes down to the trip, the pace, and so many other factors. And I just thought Hector rode a brilliant race that day. I thought, he was really confident. And when he made that move at the 3/8 pole, I was like, oh, like, I think everybody kind of just went, oh. Yeah. And it's a great, and kudos to, Brett Jones and his team who bred her, and at Airdrie Stud, and our partners Matikit and all the Little Riff other partners. It was a great comeback. We've had a rough start to the year. We were actually we were going into that race with Phil. We were 1 for 29.
Yeah, you told me that afterwards.
It's like, and it's painful, because we have some good horses. We haven't had good trips. We've been a little unlucky, and then you get that, and Phil was really happy. And obviously congratulations to Jesse and Ricky, who had little baby Gracie, I think on Monday or Sunday. I think it was on Sunday or Monday. I can't remember. I think it was
Monday.
Was it Monday?
Yeah.
And and
she's home already.
Home already? I have not seen the baby. Have you seen the baby?
She's doing great. I went to the hospital, and she was like up walking around. I'm like, what are you doing?
Well, she's young. Remember, she's a lot younger than we are.
I know, but yeah, I was like, you know what? Because Jess was always about like milking the opportunity to be waited on, and I get in the room, and she's like walking around. I'm like, girl, into the bed.
I mean, the baby's already bigger than Ricky,
rub your feet.
Yeah, baby's already bigger than
baby.
Ricky.
I was very excited.
That's awesome. I have not seen her yet. I will see her this weekend, I'm sure.
I got to hold her twice.
We have a big day coming up at Santa Anita. I'm sorry about the scratch of Skippy Longstocking in the big cap. That kind of took a little luster off it, but
it did. But it's still a very competitive race.
Yeah, right? I think the Kilroe Mile looks really good too. That looks like a really good race.
They all do. The Beholder Mile is real. I mean, look, we obviously have Splendora, but is she as effective going further is the question mark. So we'll get to see that. And there's a couple of really good maiden races on the card. The pick 6 is going to be a good sequence. Okay, San Felipe though. Who are you, single Brant or all others?
I like that Glatt horse. So happy. I think he's been really impressive. I have not looked at I don't even know who's running other than those two, to be honest with you. I was away. I was in Kentucky. I haven't really looked since the entries were taken. But I thought that horse has been really good. Why can't he win?
I mean, I guess he could. Just when you watch him work and when you watch Brant work, they're like breathing two different kinds of air. Brant is unreal.
It's not like Baffert hasn't won the San Felipe probably 13 straight times. Who knows? I mean, it's not even fun to count it anymore, but it is what it is.
What about the Derby preps from this weekend?
I thought both races were really good. I thought the Florida race
like Niall said, it was. I don't want to say it was messy, but there was a couple of
I
trips.
didn't see the
felt like-
beginning whole whatever happened, but
Yeah.
I think those two horses are very good that came out of Florida, and I also think the horses at Oaklawn are pretty good. I don't think there's like
I was so irritated with Silent Tactic because I played him in my fantasy stable,
yeah,
and like he looked like he was gonna go right on by.
Yeah.
And I mean, if there was ever a definition of hang, right? I'm like,
I always give horses the credit that the other horse was just still running and might have been better than he
you think so?
I think he did have a lot of momentum. I still think he's a really nice horse. And remember,
Mhm.
Mystic Dan won that. Didn't he win the Rebel and then got beaten?
Oh my gosh, you're asking
Southwest
me
and then
remember too far back.
yeah, sorry. But like what I'm saying is like I think there's a bunch of really, really good horses. I don't think there's any like great horses yet. And I
Yeah.
think what happens in these final Derby preps in early April, March and early April, that the real good ones are going to start to separate themselves, and we'll be able to have a nice pretender contender talk as long as Rich Strike doesn't win again.
Well, also we had, I feel like, a couple of really good horses, and they've all been waylaid. And
Yeah.
so because of that, it's like we have a lot of churn right now.
Yeah.
In the picture,
It's kind
right?
of wide open. I look forward to this weekend, and then obviously the first weekend in April or whenever all those final Derby preps are, and that's when you're really going to see. I just hope I can fall in love with a horse like I did Sovereignty last year. That was my best.
That's all I have for you, Billy.
That's it?
That's it.
All right. Special thanks to Niall Brennan and Stephanie Brennan and Michelle Yu, and we'll see you next week from OBS. We're excited about the sale. It'll be it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna spend the night watching videos tonight. It'll be great.
Ooh, I saw one work today that was
Which one?
an authentic. No, I lied. Not an authentic. An
Liar.
Omaha Beach. An Omaha Beach.
Yeah.
An Omaha Beach with legs for days worked super good.
Okay. Look out for that.
Okay.
Bye, Michelle.
Bye, Billy.